I'm leaving that in. I am very much leaving that in. So hello and welcome to yet another episode of Off the Shelf. Off the Shelf.
We actually have a set now. You might have seen it in the... does this come out before or after?
I don't know. Okay, so you will start to see videos sometime around this of us in our new set, which is the library in my home. This is the kind of older side of it. I haven't fully set up the newer, more modern side where my books and the mangas will go. But eventually we'll have two functional sides to this set. So for now, I've got the old gentleman chair and our guest, our mascot. This is our mascot now. After Jaguar Warrior, this is our mascot.
What about the frog?
I don't have a frog plushie, I'm sorry. You can bring one. You can buy one. Get a frog squishmallow. They can both be our fucking things. So, I had Nick Deck read Fruits Basket, Volume 1. Now, fun thing about Fruits Basket. So this is the collector's edition. This is what's sold currently in print at Barnes & Nobles in the US. That's where I purchased my copies. I do have the entire series. Now, the original single volume releases of Fruits Basket, I don't believe are in print anymore in English in the US. I haven't been able to find them anywhere. It could be that I'm not looking in the right places, but as far as I'm aware, the last single edition volumes to be in print in the US were the Tokyo Pop volumes back in the early 2000s that had a blue, they all had like a blue bit here, and they had a very different style of like the way that it looks. Fuck you, I'm in a comfortable chair. Also, that might be as low as that chair goes. But, so, as far as I'm aware, this is the only way to legally get copies of the books in the US without having to search through used bookstores. I do have some assorted volumes. I did not have just the first volume, though, so I couldn't just give you one volume. So this is, I believe, a 2 or a 3-in-1. It doesn't actually say how many volumes are included into it. It just tells you which chapters
it's
are
1
included.
through 12. I know because I divided it that way.
So I think that's the first 2 volumes, is what I want to say. But I could be wrong. It is divided by chapter,
you
not
could technically
traditional
confirm
volume.
this.
I could, but I don't want to go find...
Fair enough.
It's somewhere in my miscellaneous shelf because I didn't have very many of them, so I don't want to go looking for them. But yeah, so we read basically the first 12 chapters of Fruits Basket. Now you may know Fruits Basket had an anime, massively popular. The anime went off canon in the end and ended before the series
Then
did.
it got Brotherhooded.
Yeah, it got Brotherhooded. We recently had Fruits Basket, the final, finish airing, and we now have a completed and canonical Fruits Basket anime with updated art. It's wonderful. I highly recommend you go watch it. But the books themselves are really good, so I'm glad that I'm finally getting Nick Nack to read them. I want to know your opinion on them right now, though, because these are not your cup. So these are shoujo, right?
Yes.
This and maybe the next couple books I have you read are pretty shoujo, so they're meant for young girls. They're kind of rom-coms and that sort of thing. So how did you feel about this? You know, a 20-something-year-old man reading.
So let me just say,
Basket.
the art of this manga, fucking beautiful.
Which we did confirm is the same to the original. They didn't clean up the art for the collector's edition.
No.
We did check one of my volumes. It's exactly the same.
The only criticism I have is that Toru looks blonde in the art, not brunette like she does in the cover.
Yeah, they don't give her hair color, even though people well, Shigure. They gave Shigure color in his hair.
Yeah.
But, so, Shigure's hair is black. Fun fact, so you wouldn't know this because Toru's the only person on the cover, but Yuki, right? His hair is actually deep purple blue.
The fuck?
Kyo's is orange. So that I could see how that would be a complaint. They don't really shade the hair colors other than black.
The hair, there have been manga that are in black and white where they get the hair color across, where you get darker or lighter typically.
You don't have that hair.
No.
No, she black-haired people are really the only people who get, because even her mother's a redhead as well. So outside of that hair, you know what? Ironically, you know what the funniest part is? If you're reading this and you don't have a visualization of who has what hair color, right? You're in the same boat as Nick Nack is because he's fucking colorblind.
Yeah? Yeah.
As a reader, you're colorblind to their hair. And here's the thing, right? Because So because, for example, Yuki's hair is not colored, right? I think at some point there's a throwaway line about one of his fangirls describing the color of his hair, but outside of that, if that line doesn't exist, and I could be wrong, that line might not exist, then his hair color in the anime would have been completely up to cover art, right? And there is cover art of all the characters, so we do have like colored versions of most of the characters across the original cover art of the volumes, and there are quite a few volumes of this. And so most of the volumes actually have 2 or 3 characters on the cover, the individual volumes. However, the collectibles have one on the front and one on the back. And then they're shared together on the spine. So you do actually get to see 2 characters colored. But yeah, you would not know about individual hair colors if there was not a colored example for you.
Other than the hair colors, the art is amazing. I am surprised that this was a bi-weekly series from what I could tell online.
Yeah, we dug in and looked it up, and it looks like it was published one chapter every 2 weeks for pretty much its entire run, with the exception of a period in time where the author took off for having a broken arm or a broken wrist or something that they had to recover from. Yeah.
But I'm sure you don't just want my thoughts on the art.
I do want your thoughts on this story. I will say, I understand if you do not have the most complimentary thoughts or if this is not your kind of thing, but I would like you to at least acknowledge that this is a landmark shoujo series, at least in the Western world.
It is. And okay. Before, like, you think I am absolutely negative on the series, let me get my negativity out of the way first. The plot line here, like, the setup and the actual plot surrounding the events is kind of just there. I have very little to say about it because it feels like the manga has very little to say about it.
Mm-hmm. It's a little contrived.
Yeah.
It's not the most well thought out.
But, this is a big but here. Biggest ass in the world. The characters really carry this. Like, anytime, like, whenever I'd start a new session of reading, because I read these in about 3 chapters at a time for 4 days, I'd always start like, man, I'm just not getting into this plot. And then I would keep reading, and the characters would be entertaining. This is different than when I was reading, what was it that we read a while ago?
Ooh, was it Hanakimi?
Yeah, Hanakimi. I was reading Hanakimi, and the characters really didn't grab me with that one. This one, the characters grabbed me, even if I thought the plot was just kind of meh.
I can see that. This is... Fruits Basket is a heavily character-driven series, because the plot itself, I mean, it's a school life show, right? Like, she's going to school with these characters. There's some circumstances, right? We're gonna start encountering some spoilers at this point. But basically, due to some very contrived and strange circumstances, after the death of Toru's mother, she ends up living with kind of 3 people in the Soma family, which is kind of a rich family, and these people are living away from the main compound, and that's a little unusual because they're a close-knit family because they have a secret, and that's that when a member of the opposite sex hugs them, they turn into one of the zodiac animals. That's their curse. And she's living with Shigure, the dog, Kyo, the cat, which, you know, that's a little bit of a weird conflict there because the cat is a character in the Zodiac story who isn't a part of the Zodiac but is technically cursed with the Zodiac, and Yuki the rat. Although I do believe that we see Kagura the pig, and...
We see a lot of them. I think we even see the dragon in here.
Yeah, so that's Hattori.
Which just ends up being a seahorse. I love that.
It's a sea dragon.
The Pokemon fan in me with the Kingdra loved that. Like, just
liked it.
Because I was like, wait, I know you're a huge dragon fan.
Yeah, I was actually very disappointed when I saw it, conversely, because I was expecting a dragon.
The seahorse is the dragon? That's like fucking Pokemon. In Pokemon, there's Kingdra, a dragon-type seahorse.
And I was disappointed by that, because I was expecting, like, an Asian dragon. Like a dragon, but I didn't get my dragon. Look, it's okay.
I've played Gen 2 enough. I know you don't fuck with Kingdra.
We love Hattori. So we saw Kagura, the pig. Did we see the bunny?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, we did.
We saw the bunny. I forget his name escapes.
Was the bunny the one that was like back glomped onto Toru?
I think so, yeah. And did we see the cow? Black and white hair?
I don't know if we saw the cow.
Okay.
I don't think we did.
We probably didn't. He'd be coming up soon, but we
Either
probably
we
haven't
didn't
yet.
or he just didn't transform.
Were there any other animals that you remember seeing that I didn't mention? So we saw
The pig was the girl,
yeah,
right?
that was Kagura. Yeah.
With the three main characters,
Yep.
the sea dragon, seahorse, and the bunny who was looked like a girl but glomped onto Toru and became a bunny.
Cute little blonde hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all we meet this time. But there are 13 total characters, 14 technically, I think, in the family that are important. And then you've got Toru and her two friends, who are pretty important. We get a lot of context from them. One's a kind of a gloomy psychic, and the other one's a Yankee, and very, very kind of shoujo version of like a Yankee, as in. So Yankee's kind of like an aesthetic, socio-cultural choice that some teens in Japan make, especially in school or gang contexts, where they, it usually defines a set of people either men or girls who act more out there. Like they're usually a little violent, kind of gang related. Not always though. Sometimes it's just an aesthetic choice. But her friend is a Yankee. It's because her mother was a Yankee and she knew her mother and this kind of stuff. And we have Toru, our oblivious little idiot. There is a spider on the wall up there, and I need you to fucking kill it. Can you do that? Oh god, it's so high up there. Do I need to get you something to kill it with? I need to get you something to kill it with. Okay, spider has been dealt with. No, you have a proper chair. Spider has been dealt with. I can now get back to. So that's a pretty good summary of the plot. I mean, it's basically school shenanigans. You can sense something dark, right? Like there's hints that something is happening with the Soma family.
A little bit, yeah.
You
but it's
didn't
very
get a
much
lot of
like
it,
there's a
so-
lot under the surface that's not being talked about, but there's not a lot going on yet with that.
Yeah, so basically you really only get into that near the very end because you're getting Hattori's arc.
You get a lot more on Toru and her family background, right?
In the first 10
like where you
chapters.
get the idea that her grandfather, I think it was her grandfather?
Yes.
Her grandfather isn't all there and the family around him isn't really welcoming to her.
Yeah, well, her grandfather cares about her, but he doesn't really have much willpower in the house. And her aunt and uncle and cousin are fucking assholes, basically. I mean, for all intents and purposes, they are the equivalent of neglectful and abusive to her. I mean, she's living in a tent. Because
and the
they are
grandfather's
such
like,
assholes.
oh, can you go find somewhere else to be because you're...
Like, it's not that easy for, 14-year-old girl to find a place to live on her own. But yeah, I'm checking through now just to make sure. But I am seeing in the final chapter you read, we did start to get into the more...
Yeah.
The kind of darker stuff. Since you don't hate this, I might have you read one more volume. Sometime in the future. Not soon, but I actually think that your perception of this story would do well with one more volume. I'm actually quite unhappy. It seems like they cut it in a weirdly... I wish they'd separated it by volume, because looking back at this now, it seems like they cut it in a weirdly awkward place, and since I read them all together, obviously I didn't notice that this was where they cut that book, but I don't love the way they cut it because they cut it mid-Hattori.
You wish they would have gone one more volume.
I wish they would have finished Hattori's arc. And then cut it. Just another chapter or two would have done it. But I mean, yeah, this is a lot of the beginning of the anime. This is a pretty significant chunk of the start of the anime. At least the original anime, which does follow the new one follows that time period, that timing. Up to
Did the original anime break off not long after this?
Yeah, not too long, because the original anime started coming out way before the series ended. And it at one point it caught up, and then the anime broke away.
It sounds like it caught up pretty early.
Yeah, it pulled a Full Metal Alchemist, except it never actually finished its anime either, because it was being controlled by a publisher at the time that ended up not having enough money to.
At least with Full Metal Alchemist, with the second anime, you can at least say, hey, you have two different versions of the story that are both,
and they both have endings.
And I don't want to Full Metal Alchemist, the anime exclusive story is not that bad.
No, it's not. That is not the case with the original Fruits Basket. That is no. Not to my remembrance of watching it all the way through. I've seen the first 15 or so episodes 20 times. But I haven't watched it through more than maybe twice or so. But that is not the case as far as I remember with the Fruits Basket anime. The anime original ending is quite shit and abrupt and really doesn't cover everything. It just kind of drops off. Unfortunately. So, there's that. But I do really like it. I think it's at the very least, right, it's not an 86 where you have amazing characters and a really good story, but in the general scheme of things, the characters are strong enough to make up for what the story is lacking, at least in terms of interest, you know? And knowing that there are the Zodiacs, you always have the thought in the back of your head that there are 13 of them total, so there's more to meet, you know? Like, you haven't met the rooster, you haven't met the cow. Like, you haven't met quite a few of the characters yet who are...
No, I haven't met
part
most
of the
characters.
Zodiac. Yeah. So I think I'm looking forward to reading at least one more volume with you. I probably won't push you past that.
Because I assume eventually you want to push us through some of the anime, too.
Yeah, eventually I'm going to get you through some of the anime. It's not too long, so I might try to go for
Go the entire thing if you really wanted to.
Yeah, but...
It's only, 4 seasons or so?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But I'm glad you didn't take to this as badly as Hanakimi.
No, definitely not. I just found the characters charming.
I think I have a lot of I have a lot of nostalgia for both this and Hanakimi, but I think a lot of my nostalgia for Hanakimi stems from the drama, which I think is better done than the manga because it's far more comedic in an amusing way. And in the case of this, I watched the anime and I was quite disappointed, so I went and read the manga. And then I did really like the manga. Incidentally, there is I believe, currently publishing sequel called Fruits Basket Another, which may
What
be
are fans' thoughts
anime.
on that?
I have not heard much. I haven't heard anything negative. I think it's a spin-off following a different, not Toru, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I have not read Another yet. I think it's a spin-off, but I'm not entirely sure. But I haven't heard anything negative. So I'm holding out hope for it. I believe it is being released in Barnes & Nobles. You can buy, same thing as this. They're releasing them in the collector's editions to match these or something, but I've seen the Anothers available in the same size and kind of thing.
Watch Seki collect these as they come out and review them on her own.
Fam, you don't understand. I started buying these and I was very determined not to order. Like, I didn't want to order any of them. I wanted to pick them up. And so I believe I started buying these back in high school. And I just found the last 3 volumes I needed, I think, in quarantine. Because I was only buying the volumes that they had in stock at different Barnes & Noble's locations. And oh boy, did I have to hunt for a couple of the volumes. I just could not get a hold of them. Because they just weren't in stock anywhere, and I really didn't want to order them.
Fair enough.
I wanted to buy at the Barnes & Nobles, so. But I'm glad that it's being printed. I'm glad more people have a chance to read it and buy it now if that's their choice. And I'm really glad that it got a reboot anime because I think it's renewed interest in the franchise. And brought a lot of old fans back into the fold to kind of see the ending play out as an anime, and then also reinvigorated kind of a new crop of fans around this, like, really great show. I'm gonna really enjoy watching you watch an episode of the OG and then the new one because the quality is.
Look, it won't be right unless the show, like, between every episode switches Toru's hair from blonde to brown just to fuck with me.
It won't, I can promise you that, but yeah. So, with that being said, we'll see you back here for the next time we do a video in this particular set. Like, comment, subscribe.
Bye.